Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Yomi Zevachim Tzadiches. We begin on the second line off the top with the word chatos. Chatos. This takes us back to that pasuk which we started yesterday. The pasuk reads like this: Zoyis HaTorah. So the following system applies to all these karbanos, and the pasuk goes on to list an extensive list of karbanos, and as we began learning yesterday, the Bryce explains the message in this pasuk is that although we find that many instances there are unique specific halachos stated in certain karbanos, but you're meant to know that at least in these cases, regarding these halachas that we're going to discuss between yesterday and today, those halachas are not meant to be shared and applied to all karbanos as well. So what is stated by the oila, which is now going to be shared and applied to all other karbanos? Klisharis by the shechita, we know that the oila has to be shechta with klisharis. But a sakin, that applies to all karbanos as well. V'la mincha, we learned yesterday. V'la chatas, that's today. Which halacha is stated specifically by the chatas? So we learned yesterday, when another piece of meat comes into contact with chatas meat and absorb from it, when you absorb its flavor, you get treated like it. You're upgraded, so to speak, and treated accordingly. So, in terms of eating guidelines, who's meant to eat it, where, when. So the piece of meat that received from the chatas is treated like a chatas with respect to those halachos. Likewise, if the original chatas was pasul, it will affect the next piece of meat as well. And today we learn that although that halacha is stated by the korban chatas in the Torah, but it's meant to be applied to all karbanos as well. So basically, any korban can affect its surroundings by way of flavor transfer. Okay, so chatas teaches us ma chatas mikadeshes bevalua will be mikadesh, the next piece of meat, by transferring a flavor. Avkol, likewise, it applies to all karbanos. Mikadeshes bevalua. So if you transfer flavor to the next piece of meat, that piece of meat is treated like you. Next on the list is the asham. What do we learn from there? So we're meant to know that the asham can't have any offspring, because he only comes as a zachar. Only a male animal is kosher for an asham. So now we're going to compare and say, look, just like by the asham, there's no kedusha on his offspring because he has no offspring. So to a certain extent, in a limited form, we're going to compare all other karbanos to the asham to limit the kedusha of their offspring. You can't eliminate it entirely. A carbon has a child, that the offspring is kaddish. But it will be limited to a certain extent, that at least if it's unborn, if you found it within the mother animal, the kedusha is limited. Asham, ma asham ein shvir, just like by the asham, the fetus, vishilya, or the sack, kaddish, but there's no kedusha there, because it doesn't exist by the asham. Avkoi, likewise by other karbanos, even the female ones. If you happen to discover this within them, the kedusha on that item is limited. Rashi says there's no bringing the chelev, the shtei akloyes, the kidneys, the fats of those unborns onto the mizbeach. They have no kedusha to that extent. Avkoil ein shvir v'shili kadosh boy, and that we learn from the asham. Now, of course, once the animal gives birth, this offspring has its own kedusha, but we're talking that was found within the mother animal. So there it's limited. Because we hold Velada is kachim, bavyasin in kedushim. When do the vlad of a carbon get kedusha? Only bavyasin when they're born. But while they're unborn, they don't have full kedusha, as we learn from the asham. Now, although it's a little bit of an uneven equation, you're comparing female to male. I mean, yeah, the asham can't have it, but perhaps a female carbon could have. No, v'danin. It is a fair comparison. We do compare efshar, a case where it's possible, where it's feasible, mishei efshar, from the asham where it's unfeasible. Because after all, if that's what we find by the asham, to a certain extent we take that concept and apply it elsewhere to limit the kedusha of the unborns, as per this pasuk's message. Next on the list is the miluim. Those offerings that were brought when they inaugurated the Mishkan, where it actually says that when there's leftover meat, you have to burn it. Noiser is meant to be burnt. So we learn from there, Ma milum, just like by the miluim, we find that ma'isrein, the leftover material of Sreifa, is meant to be burned, but it's limited only to leftover meat. There's no concept of leftover animals. There were no leftover unneeded animals amongst the leftovers, because it's a public arrangement. They don't do leftover extras and backups and doubles, right? Avkol, likewise, regarding other situations, even private karbonis. So yes, meisreim is shreifa, leftover meat beyond the expiry date got to be burnt. However, ve'ein balei chayim meisreim. Suppose you have a leftover animal. A person was mafresh a karban chatos to atone for an avera. You know, he takes it seriously. He wants to ensure that he'll, right? So he brings a double as a backup just in case. And now it's unneeded. What do you do with that? You have to burn it? No. Live animals don't have that halacha. Ve'ein balei chayim b'meisreim. What do we learn from the word shlamim? What's unique by the karban shlamim? Oh, our good old friend Pigel. So Pigel, of course, is discussed by the karban shlamim. And we take that and we share it with all the other karbanis as well. Ma shlamim, just like shlamim and faglin. Right? You can affect Pigel, you can generate Pigel by having in mind during the, avoida, u'mispaglin. And furthermore, even the nisachim, the wine that comes along with the karban, gets swept along and is also labeled as Pigel material. Right? Because it's a full package deal. Avkol, mefaglin, mispaglin, likewise. In similar fashion, by other karbanis. You could generate pigel, and whatever's part of that package gets swept along, and is considered pigel as well. Okay, so in this brisa, we learn the idea of mekadesh bibalua, spreading through flavor, from the chatas. However, masnisa tana, mishmet rekiva, we have a brisa of KosherT rekiva, who actually learned that halacha from the word mincha, because let's realize this halacha is also stated by the mincha. It says kol negeya ba'yigdash. Any other item that touches the mincha, let's say another mincha touches this one, it gets affected by it. So we learn it from the mincha. Ma mincha miskadesh b'valor, just like by the mincha, it spreads it around based on absorption of kol. Mikadeshes, miskadeshet, valua. Likewise, it applies to other karbanis. Now, why did the pasuk have to highlight this halacha in both places? We learn it from chatas, and we learn it by mincha. Right? In both places, the Torah says you touch them, you get affected by them. Why do we have to present it in both contexts? V'yistrich l'michtav chatos. V'yistrich l'michtav mincha. V'yistrich l'michtav chatos. There's a reason why the Torah needed to press this point by the mincha and by the chatos. That in both cases, if another material comes into contact with them, it gets sort of affected by it, it gets upgraded or downgraded to whatever state the original mincha or the original chatos has. Says the Gemara, I'll tell you why. You can't learn one from the other. Because if it applies, when a piece of meat touches the chatos meat, who says it will apply likewise? If another mincha touches this mincha, who says that this spreading effect applies to both? The Yashmina mincha. Had the Torah only told us that a mincha can affect its surroundings, yeah, the rakicha, since it's a very soft and mushy and moist dough, full of saturated with oil, mibalo, yeah, it exports its oil and gets absorbed in the next item and affects it. Avachata, same but by a piece of meat, who says it can have the same effect on the item that touches it? And that's why the Torah stressed that even by a chatas it works. V'yashmin chatas, on the other end, we only discuss chatas mishum dekarer, because since it's a thick piece of meat and the fat gets totally absorbed within it, so yeah, it has this effect. Perhaps we're speaking about the piece of meat on the receiving end. He sort of absorbs very deeply, very strongly the chatas flavor. Aval mincha, but if it's a mincha touching another mincha, who says it has the same effect? Who says the flavor gets so deeply embedded in the recipient, so perhaps it doesn't have that same profound effect. Tzricha, that's why Torah takes the effort to mention that in both instances, whether it's meat touching meat or whether it's something touching the mincha, you absorb, you get affected. Now we have another halacha that we learned from the word chatas in that pasuk of Azos HaTorah. Chatas teaches us, ma chatas ein haba ela min achulim, just like a korban chatas can only be financed with your own private money. You can't use, Meiser Sheni money, as we'll see later. Ubiyah, number 2, it has to be processed by day only. Ubiyah the Yamanis, with the kohen's right hand. Afkoy, likewise, other korbanos as well have the same 3 halachas. Number 1, ein haba ela min achulim. Number 2, vayayim. Number 3, v'yada Yamanis. No, b'chatas minol. How do we know that? By chatas. These halachas apply. Amar Rav Chizda Makor, the pasuk says, on Yom Kippur, v'hikrav aranas parachatas asher loy. Kohen Gadol brings his own chatas. Asher loy means self-funded. Mishaloi v'le mishal tzibur, not from the public fund. V'le mishal maser or maser sheni money. To buy it with your own money. Likewise, other korbanos are meant to be purchased with private funds. Number 2, we learn chatas is processed only by day. Likewise, other korbanos. Well, why do we need to go to chatas for that? Maybe Yom Tzavaisei Nafka. We have a pasuk. Yom Tzavaisei, all korbanos are only by day. Kedinas, just brought it by the way. You're right. This halacha did not, need to be learned from chatas. And thirdly, biyada imanis. Just like the chatas is processed with the kohen's right hand only. Same with other korbanos. Once again, we have a kasha. Why go to chatas for that? We have another source. The Amar, as was said by the Amar Rabba Rachan, Amar Shlosh. Whenever you find in the Torah either the term kohen or the term finger of the kohen, ein eliyamin, it certainly means his right hand, like we discussed way back. So pretty much every korban is covered by this rule. It either says etzba or usually says kohen, right? So why go to chatas for that? Kedinas, but once again it was brought to by the way. But you're right, it's not really necessary to go to chatas. We can learn it locally. People say another option would be the reason why we need chatas. Saval like Rab Shimon, going like Rab Shimon, the Amar who says etzba labei kuhuna. You're right when it says that the kohen should use his etzba, it's a very specific portion of his body, even without spelling at kohen, it means the kohen's right. It means the right hand. But kahuna by etzba, but simply saying kohen doesn't necessarily mean right hand unless it says etzba. And this, of course, was discussed way back on Chavdal. So, yeah, it doesn't really apply. The right hand requirement is not really applicable unless it says etzba. And that you only find by the chatas. So we compare to a chatas and we say, look, whenever it says etzba and kuhuna, right? Meaning kuhuna needs etzba. Etzba doesn't need kuhuna. But the point is that by chatas it says kohen and etzba to indicate that kohen is not enough. Unless it says etzba, it doesn't necessarily have to be his right hand. Okay, and finally we have the word, and then we have the word asham, which we already learned something from that. But now comes another halacha from that is derived from asham and exported to the other korbanos. Asham teaches us ma asham atzmoisav mutar. Just like by korban asham, it's meant to be consumed by the kehanim, and in fact the kehanim could take the bones and use it. Turn it into a spoon, a fork, without any expiration date. There's no noiser on that. Rashi explains, you know why? Because noiser by definition means leftover beyond its achila time frame, right? Something which is edible has noiser. Eat it until then and no further. A bone is not edible anyway, so you can have it as long as you want. So just like with the asham, you can actually use the bones as well. Likewise, likewise, even by the korban oila. In some instances, we discussed this a while ago, if the bone got separated, whatever, so then you can the kohen could take it home. And Rashi explains, actually we have another pasuk, lo yeh, by the asham is lo yeh, you can keep it. The bones are his, so conceptually it can apply to all karbanos as well. Okay. So we have the pasuk Zeis HaTorah, La'oila, La'mincha, La'chata, right? And each pasuk, each word in the pasuk, each carbon teaches us something. We learn about Mekadesh B'Valua, learn about Sakra Klisharis by the Shchita, we learn about the Vlados, learn about B'Yoim, Chulin, Yada Yimanis, and the Asmois of Mutar. Continues the Gemara, Amar Rav. Let's go back for a moment to the halacha of kibus. A droplet of chatas blood land on the garment, you have to do kibus, launder it, wash it in the Beis HaMikdash. So pshitali, it's clear to me that in the following case, kibus would be required. Of course, this only applies to dam chatas, right? Not to dam oil. So let's say you have dam chatas lamata. First comes a drop of chatas on your shirt, so that's the bottom, meaning it's below what's going to come next. If dam oil lamala and above it lands a drop of oil blood, which doesn't need kibus. Do you do kibus or not? Talmud kibus, of course, it requires kibus because the chatas blood is what's on the beged, and that requires the kibus, even though it's covered by oil blood. By Rav, now comes a question from Rav. What if it's the other way around? Dam oil lamata, but dam chatas lamala. First dropped a droplet of oil blood, and that came into contact with the beged. Above that comes another droplet of chatas blood. Ma, what's the halacha here? Mishum nagehu. Do we look at what's actually touching the beged? The fact is the chatas. Even though it's sitting on the oil, the fact is, Rashi explains, the dam oil that came first got absorbed in the beged, and the dam chatas is sitting on the beged. It's touching. Kibus is required. Or perhaps mishum balohu. Kibus is only when it is absorbed in the material. But not in this case. Here, the oil was absorbed in the beged. The chatas is sort of sitting on the surface, on top. Hadar pashta. Rabbi came back with the conclusion: the ain't to a kibus. No, it doesn't require kibus because the chatas blood is just sitting externally, not in the beged. Okay, further on a similar topic, Amarava. Suppose a garment became tameh. It requires tefillah and a mikveh to cleanse it of its tumah. But first, we must ensure there are no barriers, no chatzitzos, no interfering materials that would prevent the water from touching the surface of the beged. So let's say you have a beged, Amar Rav pshitali, it's clear to me, dam al bigdai, a fellow has some blood on his beged. On the way to the mikveh chayitzitz, it presents a chatzitza concern because it's interfering with the water touching the beged on that spot. But if this fellow is involved with blood on a regular basis, he's a butcher. So in his business, it's par for the course. He's not makpid. He's not particular about it. Doesn't care. So that's it. Just nullifies it. It becomes part of his beged. It's part of his uniform. There's no chatzitza issue there. But Ravav be chaytzit. But if he finds a glob of fat, some sort of grease on his beged, yeah, that's a problem. He's accustomed to having blood, not fatty stains. But But if he engages in that as a business, he sells ravav, he sells fat, he sells schmaltz seller. And once again, he's not concerned about it, so it's part of his beged. But Rava, now comes a question. Suppose he has a drop of blood and grease. Dam uravav al bigda. Ma, what's the halacha? Well, im tabachu, if he's a butcher, typically mishum ravav. Although he's not makbid on the blood, but he's concerned about the grease, that should be a chatzitza. If he sells schmaltz, typically mishum dam. So the concern is the blood. So what do you mean to ask? Either way, he's in trouble. Leitzricha must be David ha. He does both for a living. He sells meat and schmaltz. No, so shall we say even though he's engaged in both, it's one too many on his shirt. One wouldn't be an issue, but two blotches, one blood, that he's makbid on. Right? If it's just one type, fine. But if it's a variation of different types of stains, right? That's one too many. Blood and grease. Or you can say no. After all, it's par for the course. It's good advertisement. He's not makbid even on both types. Teku, we leave it unresolved. Says the Mishnah, a fellow who is almost tahor, just a little bit. He was already table in a mikveh waiting for sunset to come to fully cleanse him. Or a fellow who already did everything except for karbanis. Einon cholkin b'kachim lechel erev. So even though very soon he'll be able to eat karban, he's a kohen. Very soon he'll be able to eat karbanis, but since currently he's not really available for work in the Beis Hamikdash, he's not entitled to get a chelik, to get a portion amongst the kohanim in the karbanis. Einon cholkin b'kachim, they can't. They're not entitled to a portion of the karbanis lechel erev in order to eat it tonight. Oinein, a person who had experienced a tragedy in the family. No, yeah, he can touch karbanis. He's not tummy, but veinei makriv, he can't be involved in akrava. Likewise, veinei chelik lechel erev, he has no entitlement to get a portion, even for the sake of eating it tonight. However, balei mumin, blemished kohanim, here's an exception. Even though he can't work in the mikdash, but he's entitled to a portion. Bein balei mumin oivin, whether it's just a temporary blemish, bein balei mumin kavun, whether it's a permanent blemish, cholkin v'oichlan, they're entitled to a portion, and they can even eat right now. Although they can't really be part of the akrava. Now the Mishnah comes back with a general formula: if one is not really work enabled, he's a tful yayim, he's tam, he doesn't get a chelik of the basar. And if you don't have a chelik in the basar and the be'iris, you're not entitled to the hides as well. Let's say he was tummy during the zrika of the carbon, and very soon he became tar. Sure enough, as soon as they got to the next part of the Haktorah, of the Chelev on the Mizbech, he was ready to go, he was tar. Too late, you missed the boat. You can't have a chelik of the basar, because the rule is, ha-makriv is damashlamim, v'esachelev b'nei aren, lo yiti ha-sheik hayam l'mana. You want a sheik hayam, you want a portion of the carbon, you have to be there and available. When they are processing the carbon, and of course the pivotal point is Rika. Okay, so if you're not tar at that point, you can't demand a portion, whether it's because you're a tful yayim, mechosek kippurim, oinein. One exception is balmum, as we're going to see in the Gemara. Okay, so in a nutshell, we learned about the list of karbanis with their unique halachas that are shared between the other karbanis as well. We learned about kibbutz dam chatos with dam oila together, halachas of chatzitza and a mikvah, and that in general, the zchus to get a chelik in a karban is owned by a fellow who is available to do the hakrava in the Beis Hamikdash. All the best to you, and Hatzlacha.